Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Michael and Dale at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. As usual, we have a lot to cover today. President Trump and Russian President Putin agreed yesterday to begin ceasefire negotiations immediately. We have the details of the 90-minute phone call between these two world leaders. Articles of impeachment have been filed against the defiant federal judge who is trying to stop deportation of illegals by the Trump administration. The Israeli-Hamas ceasefire is over as Israel strikes Gaza after Hamas refused to release hostages, according to officials in Israel. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has already surpassed one of her Biden predecessors in the total number of PolitiFact fact checks after just 2 months in office. All of that, plus your text messages and your emails. We got a lot to cover.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, you know, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
President Donald Trump spoke with Russian President Putin for about 90 minutes yesterday about ending the war in Ukraine. Of course, that was the top of the list, noting that the two leaders agreed that negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East. The call began around 10 a.m. yesterday, according to the White House spokesperson Dan Scavino. The White House then said around 12:52 that the call was over, though it would not say initially exactly when each side hung up. Not that I know that matters. The two leaders agreed to a ceasefire against energy infrastructure. The White House issued an official statement saying, today President Trump and President Putin spoke about the need for peace and a ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace. They also stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the United States and Russia. The blood and treasure that both Ukraine and Russia have been spending in this war would be better spent on the needs of their people, the statement says. It continues, the conflict should never have started and should have been ended long ago with sincere and good faith peace efforts. The leaders agreed that the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire, as well as technical negotiations on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire, and permanent peace. These negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East. So we can only hope and pray that they get started and that they come to some agreements to stop the bloodshed and to stop the spending. Look, I don't want these young men and women and these families in Ukraine and Russia to continue to see their cities destroyed, to continue to see life taken. But on a more selfish level, I don't want to keep us spending billions of dollars of our money that we could be spending on something else. The White House, in the statement, said the leaders spoke broadly about the Middle East as a region of potential cooperation to prevent future conflicts. They further discussed the need to stop proliferation of strategic weapons and will engage with others to ensure the broadest possible application. During the call, Putin said a complete cessation of military aid to Ukraine was a key condition for ending the war. Russia's state-run TASS news agency reported, citing the Kremlin as being the source of this information. Putin backed the idea from Trump of a mutual 30-day pause of strikes on energy infrastructure and gave that command to his military, according to TASS. It also reported that Russia will return 23 seriously wounded Ukrainian soldiers to Kyiv as a gesture of goodwill. Trump said last night that many elements of a final agreement to end the Ukraine war have been agreed to, but much more remains. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said earlier on Monday, I guess it was, that the ball is now in Russia's court to accept a U.S. proposed ceasefire deal that Ukraine agreed to last week. The U.S.-backed proposal which includes the immediate 30-day ceasefire and guaranteed resumption of U.S. military aid and intelligence to Ukraine, was finalized during diplomatic talks in Saudi Arabia last week. The last time Trump and Putin spoke was in mid-February. Trump said at the time, "I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects." Look, Trump can talk to this guy. Putin, I think, respects Donald Trump. Now, the Democrats and Joe Biden particularly love to talk about this relationship that Trump had with Putin, trying to suggest that there's something nefarious about it, that maybe there's some deals under the table. But I really do believe that Putin understands that the American people support and they back Donald Trump, whereas I don't think he had any respect for Joe Biden at all. I think he saw Biden as a weak leader and someone who did not demand respect from his own country, so certainly wasn't going to get respect from the Russians. And so I think that we're going to see something pretty quickly here. We're going to see this deal because it's good for everybody. Because I can't imagine that Russia wants to continue spending their resources. And particularly if they don't come to the table now and if they don't get to a ceasefire now, I think they understand that we're going to be obligated to somehow help Ukraine be able to protect themselves. So let's again hope and pray that maybe we're getting close to the end. Love to get your comments. You can email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Send me a quick text. Lot going on around the world. A lot going on. The NASA astronauts who have been stranded in space for 9 months have begun their return journey to Earth. The mission faced multiple delays, but the crew is now expected to land safely within the next 24 hours. Experts highlight the challenges astronauts may face upon re-entry after prolonged periods in microgravity. Look, I can't imagine being stuck up there all this time. Can you? Not exactly what they signed up for. But hey, look, you're an astronaut. You go to a space station. You got to understand there's risk involved. Authorities in Georgia are investigating the mysterious deaths of twin brothers. This is the oddest case. These two young men were found shot on a mountain in Georgia. They were discovered with airline tickets in their wallets, adding to this mystery, because their families thought that they had gotten on airplanes and had traveled. They ended up somehow in Georgia dead. Investigators are exploring various leads to determine the circumstances surrounding their deaths. And a world-renowned doctor who investigated the assassination of John F. Kennedy has revealed that upcoming file releases could shed some new light on the case. The medical experts suggest that previously undisclosed information may challenge existing narratives about the assassination. This has been a mystery for how long now? What was it, 64? And we still have probably more questions than we have answers to. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens here. A business in Nova Scotia is in the headlines. It's called a Rage Room. It's in Halifax, and it offers customers the chance to smash portraits of public figures. And some of the portraits presently in there, they report President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk, among others. The business owner describes the initiative as a form of entertainment and stress relief amid current events. Now, I wonder if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in there when they were in office. You think? You think they're equal opportunity? Hey, let me tell you about a great deal. Mike Lindell has just this week sent this over to us. MyPillow, they're excited to announce that they are extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, any size, any color, when you use promo code Joey. Save 30% on the brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one that Mike has worn for every day for over 20 years now. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA, and you're going to get this great price when you use promo code Joey. Just call 800-893-4059. Go to MyPillow.com, and you can still get the 6-piece bath and kitchen towel set for only $29.98. The initial quantities are low, so go ahead and go to MyPillow.com. Place your order right now. And, of course, the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98 when you use promo code Joey. That's MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. Always use promo code Joey. Hi, Joey Hudson here. You know, this spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part, because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. The battle between Trump and activist judges is heating up even more so than it has in the last few weeks. This is a big one. House Republican Brandon Gill, I told you yesterday that he had mentioned that he potentially was going to file articles of impeachment against this Judge Boasberg, who issued an order over the weekend trying to stop the airplanes loaded with illegals, with criminals. Well, Gill did, in fact, file the articles of impeachment against this district judge. And let me tell you, this is going to get interesting. This is going to be quite the battle. If you haven't been following the chaos in the courts, here's the deal. Judge Boasberg blocked the Trump administration from deporting violent gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. Now, as you may recall, and we told you about this, the judge had ordered planes to turn around midair, stopping these deportation flights, carrying these members of these violent gangs. But the Trump administration apparently ignored the order because they were already in international airspace. Gill isn't messing around, Representative Gill. He called Boasberg's ruling a dangerous abuse of judicial power and a direct attack on the president's constitutional authority. His impeachment resolution states this conduct jeopardizes the safety of the nation, represents an abuse of judicial power, and is detrimental to the orderly functioning of the judiciary. And here's the kicker. Trump himself just came out swinging on Truth Social, calling Boasberg a radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator. Tell us what you think there, President Trump. Don't hold back. Trump made it clear that he's not going to back down, and he shouldn't. He said, I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for the historic victory. And, Mr. President, it was the number one reason. That was one issue that all Americans could agree on. Immigration, people coming into our country illegally, that was an issue that was agreed upon by a lot of Democrats, certainly a 90+% of the Republicans and independents, because we understand that we can't continue to allow this to happen. We can't just leave our borders open for these people who we have no idea who they are, other than the fact we're learning that there were a lot of real criminals, bad guys, coming into the country. Gill says that he wants to follow the official process, bringing the case through the House Judiciary Committee, where Chairman Jim Jordan will have a say in how this unfolds. If the GOP holds the line, and that's an if, we got to put some pressure on them, let them know that we support Representative Gill's effort to impeach this judge. We got to make an example out of somebody, right? These judges think that they can make these rulings and have no consequences. So we need, this is the time to make an example out of somebody, so other federal judges appointed by Joe Biden and Barack Obama, and some even by Republicans, will think twice before they try to put up a roadblock to stop something that Donald Trump is doing on our behalf. If the GOP holds the line, and again, that's a big if, This could be a major showdown between Congress and the courts over who really holds power when it comes to national security. And as mentioned, of course, the Democrats and activist groups, they're crying foul. They're going to jump up and down. They're going to stand on their heads, claiming the judge. They're saying that he was just protecting asylum seekers and preventing mass deportations of innocent people. Well, nobody on those planes that were flying over the weekend were innocent people. As President Trump and Tom Holmes has said over and over again, they started with the worst of the worst. These were people who had criminal records. These were people who broke our laws. In addition to breaking our immigration laws, they raped, they have robbed, they have broken into people's homes, they've stolen cars. I mean, the list is long of the offenses that a lot of these people committed while they were here. So this argument that they're just trying to prevent mass deportations of innocent people, that's a bunch of hogwash, because this isn't about asylum seekers, is it? These flights were deporting gang members. If they're allowed to stay, who do you think will pay the price? We will. You and I will, because they sent those people over here for a reason. And when the ACLU, as I mentioned yesterday, when they argued that we're not, you can't use this wartime act because we're not under invasion. Yes, we are. We have been invaded for about 4 years now. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time that judges have gone after Trump's policies. Gill's impeachment resolution is not the only one. There are other members of Congress who have also taken action against other federal judges who have tried to block Trump's government efficiency efforts. It's time that we make an example out of somebody. Folks, this is shaping up to be a battle over who runs this country. The elected president or a group of unelected activist judges who think they're the smartest person in the room, who think they have the final say. Who do you think should win? Who do you think will win? Is this an abuse of judicial power? Am I overreacting when I say that these judges are overstepping their bounds and trying to stop what you and I elected President Trump to do? Should Congress start impeaching these judges who have a lifetime appointment, who have no fears? They do whatever they want to because they know that the only way that they can lose their jobs is by being impeached, and that's very rare. Very rare that a judge is impeached by the United States Congress. You think it's time that they start? You think it's time that Congress maybe impeaches one just to make an example? Is that too harsh? Email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. A pro-Israel influencer, Zach Sage Fox, once again found himself in enemy territory, if you will, when he went undercover as an anti-Semite near Barnard College in New York City. We have that story for you in just a minute. First off, Israeli strikes on the Gaza Strip eliminated the head of the Hamas government and other key terrorist leaders in a wave of violence following the collapse of their ceasefire agreement. Just very disappointing that this ceasefire did not hold. Of course, maybe we're a little too optimistic thinking that it would. The Israeli Defense Forces and the Israel Security Agency, also known as Shin Bet, said in a joint statement yesterday that the airstrikes eliminated Assam Adalas, head of the Hamas government and the most senior figure of authority in the Gaza Strip. Assam Adalas replaced Rahi Mashaba in this position after he was eliminated in July of 2024. In his role, he was responsible for the functioning of Hamas's terror regime in the Gaza Strip and oversaw the integration of all of Hamas's branches in Gaza and their use for terrorist purposes. Now, the moral to this story is I don't think if you're in Gaza and you're part of Hamas, I don't think you want to be the leader of Hamas, do you? Because here's two eliminated in less than a year. It's not a good place to be. The IDF and ISA also determined, and they say with high probability, that Israeli strikes eliminated Mahmoud Majak, the Minister of Internal Affairs in charge of Hamas's internal security forces, and a list of other key leaders of Hamas, their internal security forces and other agencies, their Minister of Justice, some of the key figures in this terrorist group. Over the past day, the IDF said that it struck dozens of terror targets and terrorists throughout the Gaza Strip, including mid-level and senior-ranking terrorists in Hamas's political bureau. Basically, as Hamas reneged on their agreement, would not turn over the hostages, Israel was ready. Israel made a statement. Israel wanted to tell those who are left in Gaza that if you want to align yourself with Hamas, do so at your own risk, at your own peril. Unfortunately, and this is what the people of Gaza have to understand, they need to have a civil war and overthrow whatever semblance of government they have left, because they're continuing in these strikes. Of course, unfortunately, sadly, a lot of innocents are being killed as well. At least 404 Palestinians, including women and children, have been killed in the airstrike so far, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. Now, we're not quite sure how reliable that information is, but you have to suspect, and when you see some of the images that were released, some of the videos of the buildings completely destroyed, you got to know that civilians, that there were some civilians who lost their lives in addition to these leaders of the terrorist group. The death toll has not been independently verified. President Trump's administration backed Israel's move to end the ceasefire in a statement on Monday. Brian Hughes, a spokesperson for the National Security Council, said Hamas could have released hostages to extend the ceasefire, but instead chose refusal and war. Israel will intensify its military actions, we're told, against Hamas moving forward. But basically, they're just going to keep the pressure on them, and they're going to continue destroying that region. The IDF launched a series of preemptive strikes targeting mid-ranking military commanders, leadership officials, terrorist infrastructures belonging to the Hamas organization. Again, the list is long. Dozens of targets, we're told, were chosen based on Hamas' readiness to execute terror attacks and build up and rearm its forces. You know, they can't just be sitting idly. This Israel, that is. They can't be sitting idly thinking that they're in a ceasefire when Hamas is actually reloading. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the airstrikes came after Hamas rejected all its offers it's received from the Trump administration and the special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. You know, Steve Witkoff has been very busy. Have you followed this guy? I mean, he's Trump's negotiator. He's also negotiating the deal with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, he's kind of flying back and forth between Israel and that region and Ukraine and Russia. Hamas has insisted on sticking with the original terms of the deal, with Israel fully withdrawing from Gaza and agreeing to permanently end the war in exchange for the release of the remaining living hostages. It's just that simple. Turn them over, and you buy yourself more time. Netanyahu has long said that Israel will not end the war until Hamas's governing and military capabilities have been destroyed. I mean, this was, about 2 months that the ceasefire lasted. And look, as far as the hostages, they have received thousands of Palestinian prisoners in exchange to just a small amount of these innocent hostages. In other news concerning Israel, have you heard about the story of this pro-Israel influencer? His name is Zach Fox. He dressed up as a undercover anti-Semite and interviewed people just outside of Barnard College in New York City. The video so far has received over 24,000 likes on Instagram. Fox got several students to be brutally honest about their thoughts on the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, and Jews in particular. He said it gives the public a look at what these students say without the kafia. Is that how you say it? Kafia. Yeah, kafia. The little caps that they wear on their heads. He said it gives you a good behind-the-scenes look at how some of these people just hate Jews. Here's a portion of that.
So I did this undercover video just right before everything really broke out at Barnard with all of the building takeovers. And, it was interesting. Like, I remember last year covering a lot of the Columbia stuff, and, it just felt like it was Columbia at large. There wasn't such a distinction between Barnard and Columbia. And then I shot this video just right before the first Barnard building takeover. And then obviously there was the library one that happened, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. And I just remember leaving that day, and, there's a clear, I think there were several people from Barnard, but the one that I definitely know is from Barnard was that one girl in the video who said rape was nuanced, terrorism was nuanced. And, we were right outside of Barnard, and she said she went to Barnard, and she had said a lot of people in Barnard hate Zionists, think Zionists are idiots. And so I remember leaving that day with a different feeling than I had from afar, which was just like, oh, wow, it seemed like the Barnard girl was one of the worst people I've ever interviewed. And she specifically seemed to reference that she was learning a lot of this stuff in school. There are specifically people who were there are specifically people who want to go to this school to, do activism as they see it. And so, it almost feels like no matter who it's going to be, they're going to find someone to protest. And the Jews have just become target number one at this school.
Again, in the video, Fox wears a disguise and pretends to be a British student named Ben Klein. He wore a pro-Palestinian shirt, the keffiyeh, a COVID face mask, and a nose ring. Fox admitted that his costume made him look like a narc, and he was surprised that so many people thought he was genuinely an anti-Israel activist. It's disturbing, though, as he said, that some of these students go to this school just to be an activist, to protest something. And in their case, it seems to be Jews. That they hate Israel. And they don't even really know why they hate Israel and why they hate Jews. They just evidently it's become popular on this campus to do so. At one of the more shocking points of the video, a Barnard student who said she studies human rights and economics said there is a nuance in terrorism. A nuance in terrorism? She said, I think terrorism is one of those words where people haven't actually thought about the meaning. Later in the video, she also agrees when asked whether there is a nuance to rape if it's used as a weapon of resistance, such as the number of rapes committed during the attacks on October the 7th. I mean, this young lady, and I'm sure there's plenty others like her, she needs to understand the meaning of terrorism, and certainly the meaning of rape. A nuance to rape? That's just crazy. But these are some of the activists that are on these college campuses that we're finding all around the country. Mommy and daddy send them to these expensive colleges, pay their tuition for them to learn how to protest, to resist. Fox said that these anti-Israel students don't actually want to free Palestine from Hamas. He said that he found Hamas supporters while interviewing people near the Ivy League campus. In the video that he posted, one unidentified female said there are students who are more sympathetic to Hamas. How could you possibly be sympathetic to Hamas after you've seen what they've done to destroy that region? Boy, these young people have a lot to learn. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. You know what the day is? It's Wednesday. What's Wednesday? Walhalla Holla Wednesday. The Walhalla Performing Arts Center, it's an entertainment staple here in the upstate for over 20 years now. And they always bring the highest quality entertainment to you. And boy, they got another great slate. Every week you think it can't get any better, and it does. Saturday, March the 22nd, direct from the UK, the FABA Show, the sensational, authentic, and truly magical tribute to ABBA. And guess what? I got some tickets that you can win. Just text the keyword WIN to 800-9050-989. That's 800-905-0989. Text the keyword WIN for a chance to win some free tickets today only to see FABA, the sensational, authentic, truly magical tribute to ABBA. The set list is jam-packed with hit songs. The costumes are spectacular, and the excitement, energy, and showmanship of this cast, it makes it one that you really don't want to miss if you loved that era of music. Then on Friday, March 28th, see Diamond, the Legacy Tour, a Neil Diamond concert celebration starring the #1 Diamond performer in the world, Jay White. Jay and the dynamic Sweet Caroline Tour Band pays homage to Neil Diamond by performing the hits that you know and love. Again, it's like sitting there in a Neil Diamond concert. For ticketing information, go to walhallapac.com. You can also see their full upcoming lineup at walhallapac.com. And again, for a chance to win some tickets to see FABA, just text the keyword WIN on this Walhalla Holla Wednesday to 800-9050-989. That's WIN to 800-9050-989 for your chance to win some free tickets to see FABA at the Walhalla Performing Arts Center. On the text line, Susan from Hartwell says, Biden defied 2 Supreme Court rulings against canceling student loan debt, so why should Trump obey some peepsqueak Obama-installed distrust judges' orders that he can't fly violent terrorists back to Venezuela? It doesn't make sense, does it, Susan? Makes no sense whatsoever that this, I'm not going to get on that again, but that a federal judge would want to protect these criminals from being in our country. Chris says during Trump's campaign, they couldn't give enough agents to protect him, but they have 18 for Hunter and 13 for Ashley. Something fishy there. Yeah, look, Chris, you know, the Bidens, they're famous for this. They are sucking our country dry. Think about that. Hunter Biden has 18 Secret Service agents flying with him to Africa. And then Ashley has 13. Now, why in the world do you need that many people protecting anybody? And it's costing us a fortune. Well, it was till Trump put a stop to it. And good for him for doing that, for sure. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, boy, I'm just really beginning to respect this young lady for how quick she is, how smart she is. You know, it takes a lot to stand there and have all of those answers ready on so many different topics. And she is always on her feet, ready to go. Well, she's already surpassed one of Jen Psaki's records in the total number of PolitiFact fact checks after just 2 months in office. Last week, PolitiFact issued Levitt her latest fact check over her statement, "Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people." PolitiFact rated it false, with chief correspondent Louis Jacobson writing that virtually all economists have characterized tariffs as tax hikes rather than tax cuts. Now, look, the guy from the AP got himself in trouble for this. PolitiFact may want to back off. This marked Levitt's third PolitiFact fact check since beginning her tenure as press secretary in January, which officially puts her ahead of former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki's entire record of fact checks on the site, which kind of tells you a little bit about this site, doesn't it? In the 16 months that Psaki held the position, PolitiFact only fact-checked her twice, once in November of 2021 and again in January 2022. Her November claim about Build Back Better was rated false, while her January claim about COVID vaccines was rated as true. Now, in contrast, Ms. Levitt had her first two PolitiFact fact checks on January 30th, less than 2 weeks after starting the position, and nearly 10 months earlier than Psaki got her first one. One was rated false, while the other was rated only half true. The more aggressive fact-checking right out of the gate, of course, probably shouldn't be a surprise. It was immediately flagged by newsbusters. This also put Ms. Levitt only one fact check away or below former President Biden's second press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, who received 4 fact checks throughout her entire time behind the podium. And Jean-Pierre deserved a lot more than that. Jean-Pierre held the position between May 2022 through January 2025, and her big three-ring binder became famous because that's the only thing she had. If it wasn't in the binder, she didn't have the answer. Have you ever noticed that Caroline Levitt seldom looks at a note? I mean, I don't know how she does it. She has all of that knowledge memorized because she understands the issues. I think that's the difference. Karine Jean-Pierre, most of this stuff was over her head. She had no idea what she was talking about half the time. Out of the 4 times that PolitiFact fact-checked Jean-Pierre, 2 were rated false, while the other 2 were rated mostly true. PolitiFact also did not begin fact-checking Jean-Pierre until June of 2022, so she had a month or so there before she came under scrutiny. Comparatively, fellow press secretaries under President Donald Trump, like Sean Spicer, Kayleigh McEnany, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, have also been fact-checked by PolitiFact more than press secretaries under Biden. McEnany was fact-checked 4 times during her period between 2020 and 2021. Sanders, which I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders probably was my favorite until now. Caroline Levitt is right up there at the same level. Sanders got her 5 fact checks regarding comments she made during a White House press secretary briefing, with 1 fact check for an interview with ABC. Sean Spicer, during the 6 months that he held the press secretary position, and I think he probably held it the shortest period of any of Trump's, he received 9 PolitiFact fact checks. That's a mouthful. PolitiFact fact checks. 9. In a comment to Fox News, White House spokesperson Taylor Rogers said, PolitiFact's so-called reporters aren't fact checkers. They're left-wing crusaders dedicated to spinning the truth, perpetrating lies, and promoting the Democrats' radical agenda. Caroline Levitt has been so honest and transparent with the press that the fake fact checkers at PolitiFact are having a hard time finding any facts to check. Now, say that real fast. The fake fact checkers at PolitiFact? Wow. Look, we know what PolitiFact does with their fact checking, and he's right. I mean, you can't. I certainly hope Caroline Levitt totally ignores them. They don't deserve any of her thoughts, because that young lady, she's amazing. Every time I see her during a press conference, I just develop more respect for her. Hey, quick reminder to text WIN to 800-9050-989 if you'd like to win some tickets to see FABA at the Walhalla Performing Arts Center. Just text the keyword WIN. and maybe you'll win some tickets to see this. Go to WalhallaPAC.com to see the entire lineup. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next. Mike Gallagher's in town today. He'll be broadcasting from our studios at 98.9 WORD, followed by Bill Frady, Charlie James, and Mark Levin. We're back tomorrow at 5 a.m. for your first cup of coffee in Sunrise, Carolina. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.